Good morning, grown black folks talk. Breaking news. President Joe Biden, his student loan forgiveness plan, and how to avoid some community arguments before they actually start. Yesterday, this news came yesterday, and I'm not going to be able to cover all three aspects of this. I'm going to deal with the one that's on the top most parts of the mind of many people. People up to my mother's age are still trying to pay off their student loans. The news is President Joe Biden has fulfilled his campaign promise. Now, I'm going to get to who that promise was made to specifically and talk about the argument that's going to happen that you don't have to get into. But a particular promise that he made was to deal with student loan debt. And of course, he waited until just before the midterm, but that's, 3 months in advance. So that's people are going to start being able to apply for the application process. I suspect that'll happen. They said it's going to happen before December. I suspect that'll happen in October. But the point that I want to make to you is if you have federal student loans, if you have never gotten a Pell Grant, 10,000 of it can be forgiven if you meet the qualifications. If you have received a Pell Grant, you can receive up to $20,000 of student loan forgiveness. So one of the things I'm going to put in the description is an article called the CNN did a good breakdown about the student loan forgiveness program. And the two paragraphs that I want you to look at, and there's nice subheaders, and I really appreciated that. How much forgiveness do they get, which will tell you how much is available and what you have to qualify, and what steps do eligible borrowers have to take. So I want you to look at those two sections, and I'm going to put these in the description. What two sections to look at? And then the last paragraph, I say the last subparagraph shows you the link to the page in which on the Department of Education webpage for which you're going to apply for the forgiveness. It's not available yet. It's on its way. It should be here before the end of the year. The other piece that goes into this is one more delay of paying student loans will be extended to the end of the year. And then people need to start paying again in January. But if you have up to 10,000 in student loan debt, if you did not receive a Pell Grant and federal student loan debt, those are Stafford loans or federal consolidation loans, then you can receive $10,000 of student debt forgiveness. And if you have a Pell Grant, up to 20,000. So for those of you that don't have more than 10 or 20,000, this actually could be the end for you. And like I said, this affects people up to my mother's age. She's in her 70s who are still dealing with their student loan debt. So this is actually big news also for Black women because a lot of more of us, relative to the population, have gone to college. Now, there are more Black men in college than there are in prison. So this is actually good for everybody because it's going to remove some of the debt load that's on the community as a whole. I need to say this because this is a good thing for everyone, which is why I am telling you before I segue. There is no reason for anybody to be arguing about this. So just set your mind that you're just not going to do it. I'm also going to publicly invite the Sir Walter Jones show to break this down because there's also provisions in this bill that talk about how student loan debt will be dealt with in the future, how federal loans will be dealt with in the future, but I haven't had time to go through it. And I'm also publicly inviting Themis of the Themis and Thoth show with the legal eye to go through this and also potentially um, to break this down a little bit more because so many Black people in the community are involved with this. Now, if you have private student loan debt, it is important to understand that this is not for you. This is only for people that are involved in the federal loan program. And one more thing, your federal loans are handled by a handler. Nelnet is gone. They turned their things over to some others. Nelnet is gone. Navient is that I think is still with us, and Mohila is definitely still with us. So you have to find out who your handler is, and you may not have looked for years. But you can also go to you can also Google major handlers and see if you can find yours. This was not part of my process, thank God, but I know a lot of people that are going to be benefited by this. There are between 27 million and 43 million people in total that are affected by this. The estimate is 27 million people might be able to remove their debt entirely, and 43 million may be able to remove at least some of their debt. So this is big news. It's breaking news. And I'll put the article from CNN in the description so you can go through it and find those subsections where you can find out what the qualifications are and where to apply. Okay? All right. Now, let me turn the corner. Again, I want to tell you there's no need to argue in advance, but there is going to be an argument coming up that you do not have to participate in. I'm going to say again, because there are more black men in college than are in prison, this is actually very beneficial to the entire community. And so, with the debt load going down, that means that there's more money that people will have available to actually build whatever they want to build in their lives. And so, I would like to think that this is something that will be a relief and celebration, but I know that there are going to be certain people that are just not going to do it. So, let me tell you what to avoid. There's a conversation going on about black men and college educated black women. And one of the things that black men who are frustrated about college educated black women keep trying to throw in our faces that the debt that we have to carry, and then if our degree isn't doing anything that he sees as important, it just is just debt that he doesn't need. I have been in conversations, Themis remembers this, with gentlemen who want to come up here and have this conversation about black women carrying $100,000 of student loan debt. He didn't even bother to Google the average. It just gets certain people so emotionally upset that they're just going to throw numbers around for reasons why black women who have gone to college are somehow less desirable. And I told you in a previous video that what happens is life in a community that is struggling is hard for men because here's what happens. It's happening again. This happened in the 1960s. You get so long to solve certain problems, and then other men come in and stunt on you. Hey, baby, I can solve your problem. Vote for me and my fellow men in the Democratic Party. This is the second time this has happened. Joe Biden just came through. President Joe Biden, the same man who's put up 4 crime bills to refill the prisons over the last 30 years, just came up here and just snatched that issue off the table. Maybe not completely, given that the average black female student loan debt's a little bit more than 20,000, but it's a whole lot less than 100,000. And if you could get your debt knocked down by 10,000 or 20,000, how much would that mean to you? But like I said, if you think about it, it benefits everybody that's going to college that has student loans. It's not just something that President Biden is doing. He's actually solving a problem for everyone. But see, certain men are upset because they want the respect of the men to solve the problems. They want the leverage of the men to solve the problems. But you actually have to solve the problems. And with all the mess that black men have been talking about, black women in college and how that debt is an issue and they don't want to take on some woman's debt, for that matter, the white hand side of the MGTOW and Manosphere community also have been talking about this for a long time. You know what just happened today? As a man, your life is hard because if you see a problem that you're not willing to solve and another man sees an opportunity, all day, all day. But just because certain gentlemen are going to be upset by this, they're going to have all kinds of things to say. What you need to do is get your applications together, get your information together, find out who your handler is for your student loan, and get your application together so that you can receive this $10,000 to $20,000 of relief. Understand, because I have a student who's already done this. The websites and things are really crowded, so I've given this advice. In the United States, people start to go to bed at 9 o'clock Pacific time, where I live, is already 12 o'clock on the East Coast. So if you can burn up a little midnight oil, if you live in Central or Central or Eastern Standard Daylight Time, wrong time of year. If you live on Eastern or Standard Time, then wait until 11 or 12 when people start going to bed, and some of the load on these websites will go down. If you live on Mountain or Pacific time, then what you do is And there are a few people in the United States. If you happen to be listening to this in Jamaica or Puerto Rico, you're on Atlantic time, I believe. So yeah, y'all just stay up until midnight or 1, and then there's not a whole lot of people in the United States clogging up. If you live on the western side, Mountain or Pacific, 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, the number of people looking at this should begin to go down, so that you can kind of navigate. I do a lot of stuff at I record these videos actually a lot of times after 9 o'clock, because resources everywhere in the world are, some people are waking up, but they're a long way from here. Everything in the United States is starting to settle down, so you get better access to things at this time of day. On another video, we'll talk about crypto transactions on Ethereum and why you should not even attempt to do those before everybody has gone to bed on the East Coast. And it costs you $30, $40, $50 extra not to know that. Well, that's true with anything that a lot of people are looking at. You just wait till most people have gone to bed. Learn how to manage getting to your blessings. Time you don't spend arguing with people, you actually stay up and solve problems. This is for everybody. Every race, every gender. Your orientation, your political beliefs does not matter. 27 million to 43 million people can receive a blessing through this program. Please go out and get yours. The article will be in the description. And whatever you do, the arguments of people who are mad that you are being blessed are irrelevant. Go get blessed. Stay beautiful. Stay calm. No need to argue. Go get blessed. Information's in the description. Bye. Thank you for listening.